I force a smile as Mom places a crystal glass of homemade grape juice before me. The deep purple liquid catches the dining room light, momentarily beautiful before my stomach knots with familiar tension. 5 months of silence between us, and now this carefully orchestrated dinner feels like walking across thin ice. Your favorite since you were little, she says, her voice carrying that honeyed tone reserved for when she wants something. Dad watches from across the table, fingers drumming against the mahogany. My sister Blythe sits beside him, her posture too perfect, her smile never reaching her eyes. Thanks, Mom. I reach for the glass just as my phone vibrates against the table. Unknown number. Stand up and walk out. Don't drink anything. I'll explain later. My hand freezes midair. The room suddenly feels 10 degrees colder. I glance up to catch Blythe exchanging a look with Mom, subtle, practiced, meaningful. Dad shifts in his chair, eyes darting between my face and the untouched juice. Everything okay, Greer? Mom asks, her eyebrows pulling together in practiced concern. My pulse thunders in my ears. Sorry, work emergency. The words come out steadier than I feel. I need to take this call upstairs. Dad frowns. On a Friday night? Can't they manage without you for one family dinner? Cybersecurity waits for no one, I reply, already standing. My legs feel unsteady as I head for the stairs. 2 minutes, I promise. 5 months ago, we sat at Westlake Brunch Club, the Sunday morning light streaming through windows as Mom slid a folded piece of paper across the table. Inside, a number written in Blythe's hurried handwriting. $17,500. Blythe made some investments that didn't pan out, Dad explained, his tone suggesting this was a mere inconvenience rather than nearly $20,000. She needs help covering the losses before the debt collectors start calling. I'd worked since 16, put myself through college while Blythe dropped out of 3 universities. I'd built my career methodically, while she chased get-rich-quick schemes. Each time I said no to their financial requests, they withdrew canceled plans, ignored calls, weaponized silence, until I eventually gave in. But not that day. That day, I finally said no, and meant it. The upstairs bathroom door clicks shut behind me. My hands tremble as I dial the unknown number. Hello? I whisper. Greer, it's Jace. Jace Hollowell. My sister's ex-boyfriend. The loser she dumped 6 months ago. Why are you? Listen carefully, he cuts in. I saw their group messages. They're planning to drug you tonight. The floor seems to tilt beneath me. What? Something about needing your fingerprint and making sure you're out while they access your accounts. They mentioned your crypto wallet specifically. I grip the edge of the sink, studying my reflection in the mirror. The woman staring back looks like me, but different eyes, sharper, jaw tighter. Blythe still has my number in a group chat. Jace continues. They didn't realize I could see the messages. When I saw what they were planning. My cybersecurity training kicks in, mind calculating threat vectors, access points, countermeasures. My breathing steadies as a plan forms. Thank you, I say quietly. I owe you. You don't owe me anything. Just get out of there. I end the call and splash cold water on my face. Years of professional paranoia have prepared me for this moment. I straighten my shoulders and head back downstairs. The conversation halts abruptly when I enter the dining room. 3 pairs of eyes track my movement as I reclaim my seat. Everything okay, sweetheart? Mom asks, voice dripping with concern that now sounds hollow, poisonous. Dad leans forward. You work too hard, Greer. You should relax. Enjoy your dinner. He gestures toward my untouched juice. I lift the glass in a small toast, the weight of it suddenly significant. If I walk out now, I lose the last thread, connecting me to my family fragile as it is. If I stay, to family, I say, meeting each of their eyes in turn. In that moment, I see them clearly for perhaps the first time. The people who should love me unconditionally see me as nothing more than a resource to be tapped, a problem to be solved, a wallet to be emptied. I bring the glass to my lips and make a decision. I lift the crystal glass in a small toast, feeling the weight of my family's eyes tracking my every move. The purple liquid catches the light as I bring it to my lips, letting just enough touch my tongue to taste the sweetness mixed with something sharper, medicinal. Delicious as always, Mom. I lie, tilting the glass slightly as I pretend to take a deeper sip. Dad beams with pride. Your mother's homemade grape juice. No store-bought stuff in this house. When they look away, I carefully pour most of the liquid into the potted fern beside me, the soil dark enough to hide the purple stain. My hands move with practiced precision, a skill honed from years of cybersecurity training, where the smallest details matter. Even the tiny amount I've swallowed makes my head feel lighter, my thoughts swimming slightly at the edges. Whatever they put in that juice would have knocked me completely unconscious if I'd finished the glass. You look tired, Greer. Mom says, her concern perfectly calibrated. Why don't you relax in the living room? We can bring dessert in there. Blythe nods eagerly. Yes, the couch is so much more comfortable. I allow them to guide me to the living room where I settle onto the familiar leather couch, the same one where Dad used to read me bedtime stories. The memory stings now, tainted by what's happening. I am feeling a bit dizzy. I admit, which isn't entirely a lie. Just rest, Mom says, smoothing my hair back from my forehead. We'll clean up dinner. I let my eyelids grow heavy, my breathing deep and regular. Years of insomnia taught me how to fake sleep convincingly. I keep my body loose, occasionally shifting as a sleeping person would, while straining to hear their hushed voices from the dining room. 10 minutes pass before they return to the living room, gathering around me like vultures. I feel their shadows fall across my face, but maintain the steady rhythm of my breathing. Is she out? Dad whispers. Blythe leans closer. I can smell her perfume, the expensive brand I bought her for Christmas last year. Completely. I told you it would work this time. This time? Mom hisses. What do you mean this time? I tried getting into her laptop last month when she visited, but she never left it unattended. Blythe says with casual indifference. And I couldn't guess her passwords. She changes them constantly. Dad's fingers drum against his thigh, a nervous habit I recognize from childhood. The debt collectors called again yesterday. They're threatening to put a lien on the house. We wouldn't be in this mess if you hadn't remortgaged everything for Blythe's business ventures. Mom snaps, her voice tight with anger and fear. Let's focus on the problem at hand, Dad says. Greer's got nearly $180,000 in that crypto wallet. She doesn't need all that money just sitting there while we're about to lose everything. The number makes my stomach clench. They know the exact amount. They must have been monitoring my accounts somehow. That sum represents 5 years of careful investing, starting with my first bonus check, building slowly through market ups and downs. Her phone first, Blythe says. The fingerprint should unlock it. I feel cool fingers lifting my hand, pressing my thumb against the screen. I keep my muscles completely relaxed while internally activating my mind's defenses. My phone is set up with specific security protocols. A single fingerprint won't access my financial apps. It unlocked the phone but not the crypto app. Blythe growls in frustration. She's got additional authentication. Try the password, Dad suggests. It's probably something about that trip she took to Alaska. Already tried that, Blythe mutters. And her birthday, and combinations of those. Mom leans closer, her perfume momentarily overwhelming. Once we transfer the funds to that offshore account, she'll never trace it back to us. She'll just think she was hacked. Oh, the words land like physical blows. My own mother. The woman who taught me to save my allowance in a piggy bank, shaped like a robot. The facial recognition isn't working either. Blythe complains after several attempts. She must have some kind of two-factor system. Of course I do. Working in cybersecurity taught me to build defenses in layers. My authentication requires specific patterns. Only I know tapping the screen in a certain sequence while looking at particular points. Dad sighs heavily. Maybe we should wake her up gently. Get her talking while she's disoriented. People are suggestible when they're half asleep. Not yet, Mom says. Let's try a few more things first. As I lie motionless on the couch, listening to my family plot, a strange sense of clarity washes over me. The people standing over me, the ones who should protect me above all others, see me as nothing more than an ATM with inconvenient security features. My pulse quickens, but I maintain my facade of sleep. Should I confront them now? Watch their faces as they realize their daughter heard every scheming word? Or should I continue this charade, gathering more evidence of just how far they're willing to go? What would you do when the people who should protect you become the ones you need protection from? Dad's knuckles whiten as he grips my phone. Let's take this down to my workshop. I've got tools that might bypass whatever security nonsense her company installed. Mom perches on the edge of the sofa, her cardigan pulled tight across her chest despite the warm evening. Robert, be careful. If we damage it, we'll have nothing. I concentrate on keeping my breathing shallow and even. The smallest sip of that juice left me dizzy enough that my performance as an unconscious daughter isn't entirely an act. Through barely parted eyelids, I watch them hovering above me like vultures. Blythe leans forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. Maybe we should try waking her gently. She might be disoriented enough to tell us the password if we ease her into consciousness. Worth a shot, Dad mutters, setting my phone on the coffee table. Eleanor, get some cold water. My heart hammers against my ribs so violently I fear they'll notice the pulsing beneath my blouse. Every instinct screams to jump up, to confront them, to demand how they could betray me so completely. But that would accomplish nothing except alerting them that their plan failed. I need evidence, concrete, undeniable proof of what they've done. While they're distracted with Mom heading to the kitchen, I make my move. My fingers twitch against the couch cushion, a precise pattern of movements. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps. The emergency recording function I programmed after one too many hostile client meetings. My phone screen remains dark, but I know the microphone is now capturing everything. How long should that sedative last? Dad asks, his voice carrying from the hallway as he follows Mom. Blythe shrugs, close enough that I catch a whiff of her perfume, the expensive brand I bought her last Christmas. The guy said 4 to 6 hours, depending on her weight. The guy? Jesus, Blythe, you bought drugs from some random dealer? Mom's voice rises with alarm before dropping again. What if something goes wrong? It's fine. He sells to veterinarians. It's the same stuff they use to calm anxious cats during thunderstorms. Cat tranquilizer. They drugged me with cat tranquilizer. A hysterical laugh threatens to escape my throat. I swallow it down. Dad returns, ice water in hand. If this doesn't work, we still have the fingerprint option. A memory surfaces unexpectedly, Dad showing 12-year-old me how to create my first email password. Never use your birthday, Greer Bear, he'd said, ruffling my hair. That's the first thing someone would guess. The irony brings a strange calm amid the storm of betrayal. He taught me digital security only to try breaking it decades later. Let's try her fingerprint now, Mom suggests, setting the water aside. Before we wake her. They gather around me, 3 shadows blocking the light. Dad takes my right hand, the same hand he once held crossing streets, teaching me to ride a bike, walking me to my first job interview. Just press her thumb to the sensor, Blythe instructs. Mom leans close, her breath warm against my cheek. We're doing this for the family. She has more than she needs. As Dad positions my thumb over the phone, I subtly adjust my finger, ensuring it lands slightly off-center. The authentication fails with a soft vibration. Try again, Mom urges. Maybe we need to use her index finger instead. With each failed attempt, my resolve strengthens. They've had unlimited access to my heart for 31 years, manipulating my emotions and leveraging my love. But they'll never access my accounts, never steal what I've earned. I am stronger than their manipulation have been for years without fully acknowledging it. My phone chimes softly with an incoming message. Blythe grabs it, squinting at the notification. It's from Jace, she announces, surprise evident in her voice. Why is my ex texting her? Dad snatches the phone. What does it say? Just the preview, something about sending you those screenshots now. Blythe's voice turns sharp. Has she been talking to him behind my back? I almost smile. Jace, providing additional evidence even as they try to rob me. The contrast couldn't be clearer, the stranger they discarded showing more integrity than the family who raised me. I mentally catalog each illegal action. Drugging me, attempted theft, unauthorized use of biometric authentication. Each failed attempt logs automatically to my secure cloud account, time-stamped and documented. The recording captures every damning word. This isn't working, Dad growls, frustration edging his voice. We should try one more time before we consider other options. The way he says other options sends ice through my veins. What exactly are they willing to do if this fails? The family I thought I knew disappeared long ago, replaced by strangers wearing familiar faces, speaking with familiar voices, but harboring unfamiliar hearts. I continue my performance, letting my head loll slightly to one side, buying time as the recording continues, evidence building with every word they speak, every desperate attempt they make. Whatever happens next, I'll be ready. I lie motionless on the couch, my breath shallow and measured as Mom hovers above me, her fingers brushing hair from my face with a tenderness that now feels poisonous. Behind her, Dad paces while Blythe fiddles with my phone, frustration tightening her features. Try again, Dad whispers. We need to move quickly. My pulse races beneath a facade of drugged stillness. With the smallest movement possible, I slide 3 fingers against my thigh in a precise pattern our company's distress signal. The phone in Blythe's hands silently activates its emergency protocol, sending my GPS coordinates and an SOS to Marcus. It's not working. Blythe hisses, stabbing my limp thumb against the screen again. Maybe we should try something else. A notification vibrates against her palm so brief she doesn't notice, but I feel the confirmation pulse through me like electricity. Marcus received the signal. Help is coming. Dad takes the phone, his wedding ring clinking against the case. Let me try. Mom glances toward the kitchen. How long until she wakes up? I told you not to use so much. Long enough, Dad mutters, his confidence wavering for the first time. Blythe, what about facial recognition? Phones have that now, right? My stomach tightens. This is exactly what I prepared for. Worth a shot, Blythe says, taking the phone back and holding it up to my face. The screen flashes briefly, not with an unlock confirmation, but with something they can't see. Evidence preservation mode activated. Every recording from the moment I first feigned unconsciousness now backs up to secure cloud storage, along with timestamps of each authentication attempt. Nothing. Blythe sighs, dropping onto the ottoman. Maybe we should just wake her up and say we found her passed out. Dad shakes his head. She'll be suspicious. We stick to the plan. I track their movements through barely parted eyelids, as they make another attempt with my thumb. The phone automatically logs this failed attempt, documenting their increasingly desperate efforts. Each piece of evidence strengthens my case against them. In the distance, sirens wail faintly. They haven't noticed yet, but I have. As they grow louder, I wonder if having my family arrested is justice, or if it would only deepen the wound. Would legal consequences teach them the lesson that my boundaries never could? The doorbell rings, sharp and insistent. Mom freezes mid-sentence, her hand clutching at her collar. Who could that be? She whispers, smoothing her skirt as she rises. Dad gestures frantically. Put the phone back in her hand. Make it look natural. Blythe hastily places my phone between my fingers, arranging my arm to drape over the edge of the couch. I let my head loll slightly, continuing the charade, as voices filter in from the entryway. Officers, what a surprise. Mom's voice carries that false brightness I've heard 1,000 times at church socials and neighborhood gatherings. Is everything all right? Ma'am, we received a distress call from this address. The officer's voice is firm, professional. A Mr. Marcus Jennings reported a suspected drugging incident. Drugging? Dad's voice booms with manufactured outrage as he strides toward the door. That's ridiculous. Our daughter just fell asleep after dinner. She works too hard, always exhausted. Heavy footsteps approach the living room. I feel the air shift as several people enter. Someone kneels beside me, fingers gently pressing against my wrist. Miss, can you hear me? A female paramedic's voice is close to my ear. I flutter my eyelids, allowing myself to wake gradually. What's happening? You're safe now, she says, checking my pupils with a penlight. How do you feel? Dizzy, I mumble, the word not entirely an act. Even the small sip I took has left me lightheaded. Something in the juice. Mom rushes forward, hands fluttering. She's confused. We just had a family dinner. Mrs. Maddox, an officer interrupts. Please step back. This is outrageous, Dad protests, but his voice lacks conviction. You can't just barge into our home based on some paranoid claim. Actually, another officer says, we received evidence of a potential crime in progress and had reasonable cause to respond. Now, about this juice you mentioned. Blythe shifts nervously, her composure cracking. It was just grape juice. Mom makes it every year. The officer's eyebrow rises. And how did you know your sister has cryptocurrency holdings, Miss Maddox? Blythe's mouth opens, closes, opens again. We talk about investments sometimes. That's interesting, the officer says, because according to the information we received, Miss Maddox specifically keeps her crypto investments private from family members. Mom sinks into an armchair, her carefully applied makeup suddenly stark against her paling skin. This is all a misunderstanding. We were just having dinner. Then you won't mind if we take samples of that grape juice for testing, the officer says, nodding to his partner who heads toward the kitchen. I catch Dad's eye across the room. For a moment, something flickers there, not remorse for what they've done, but regret at being caught. He looks away first. The paramedic helps me sit up slowly. We should get you to the hospital for blood work. Make sure whatever they gave you clears your system safely. As I rise unsteadily to my feet, I feel the weight of my phone in my palm. Evidence secured. Family exposed. The officers move with practiced efficiency around us, collecting statements and samples, while my family's perfect facade crumbles piece by piece. Family dinner will never be the same again. And maybe that's exactly what needed to happen. Dad stands before the officers, shoulders squared like he's addressing a boardroom. Our daughter works herself to exhaustion. We've been concerned about her for months. His voice carries that familiar authoritative tone that once made me believe he could fix anything. Greer barely visits anymore. When she finally agreed to dinner, Mom's hands tremble as she clutches her cardigan closed. We had no idea she'd collapse like that. Blythe nods vigorously beside them. She's been obsessed with her investments. Barely sleeps. We were just trying to have a family dinner. I sit on the couch, a blanket draped over my shoulders by a female officer. The performance is almost impressive. 3 people delivering a perfectly coordinated story. Dad keeps glancing toward the front door, calculating escape routes. Mom's rehearsed concern would win awards if acting were her profession. Blythe maintains unwavering eye contact with the officers, a technique she perfected during her brief stint in sales. You must have misunderstood what you heard, Dad tells me, his voice dropping to that gentle tone he used when explaining why we couldn't afford college for both daughters. We were worried when you fell asleep so suddenly. The juice, an officer asks, holding up the crystal glass. Miss Maddox claims it was drugged. That's ridiculous, Mom gasps, pressing her hand to her chest. It's homemade, a family recipe. The youngest officer, Rodriguez, according to his nameplate, kneels beside me. How are you feeling now, ma'am? Clear-headed, I say, meeting his eyes directly, and ready to show you something. I retrieve my phone from my pocket, unlock it with deliberate movements, and hand it to him. Officer Rodriguez, you'll find a recording that began approximately 40 minutes ago when I activated my phone's emergency protocol. The room falls silent as he connects earbuds and listens. Dad's jaw tightens. Mom sinks onto a chair, suddenly needing support. Blythe's practiced smile freezes in place. There's more. I continue. The authentication logs show various attempts to access my accounts using my fingerprint while I was supposedly unconscious. Officer Rodriguez removes one earbud. Ma'am, this recording clearly captures voices discussing. I can explain, Blythe interrupts, her voice pitching higher. Greer's been working too hard. I've been documenting the pattern for months, I say, voice steady despite the anger burning in my chest. Each request for money, each silent treatment when I refused, each family emergency that mysteriously resolved when I transferred funds. This was just their most desperate attempt. Rodriguez hands the phone to his partner, who listens with widening eyes. I stand up, strength returning to my legs. Would you like to see how I avoided drinking the drugged juice? Without waiting for an answer, I walk to the large potted fern in the corner. Most of it went here. I point to the damp soil. I only pretended to drink it. Mom collapses deeper into her chair, her foundation cracking with sweat despite the cool room. Dad's voice turns sharp, defensive. We need to call our lawyer. This is a misunderstanding. The senior officer approaches with a small test kit. He dips a strip into the remaining juice in the glass, watches it change color. There are definitely sedatives present, strong ones. 2 officers take Blythe to the kitchen for separate questioning. Through the doorway, I watch her composure crumble when isolated from our parents' influence. It was supposed to be harmless, she sobs. Just enough to make you sleepy so we could talk about helping the family. Dad's business is failing, and Mom's medical bills. Family doesn't drug family, I interrupt, my voice carrying across the room. Family doesn't steal from family. Blythe flinches as if I'd slapped her. The senior officer returns with a notepad. Miss Maddox, I need to inform all of you about potential charges here. He turns to address my parents directly. Attempted theft by deception, unauthorized biometric use, administration of a harmful substance without consent. These are serious offenses. Dad demands to speak to his lawyer again, this time with less confidence. The district attorney will determine final charges. The officer continues, depending partly on whether Miss Maddox wishes to press charges to the fullest extent. 3 pairs of eyes turn to me, the same eyes that watched me pour my own drugged drink, the same eyes that have measured my value in dollars since I landed my first real job. I need to collect my things. I say to Officer Rodriguez, "Is it all right if I go upstairs?" He nods, assigning a female officer to accompany me. As I climb the stairs, I hear my family being separated for individual interviews. The weight of 31 years of manipulation lifts with each step I take. Whatever comes next, prosecution, testimony, rebuilding my life, at least it will be my choice. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. "You okay? Need anything?" For the first time in hours, I smile. Not everyone sees me as a walking wallet. Some people actually care. It's something to build on. I adjust the final sensor on my apartment door and step back, admiring the sleek security system that now guards my new home in Austin. 3 months since that night, and I still wake sometimes with phantom nausea, the ghost of drugged grape juice on my tongue. And, system activated, I announce to the empty room. My phone chimes with a notification confirming the security protocol is running. Unlike before, when I hid my success behind modest appearances to avoid family pressure, my new colleagues know exactly who I am, the woman who teaches the advanced digital self-defense course every Wednesday evening. Most financial exploitation comes from those closest to you. I tell my students, meeting their eyes directly, your first line of defense isn't technology, it's boundaries. The irony doesn't escape me that I learned this lesson from the very people who should have protected me. The email arrives while I'm grading security assessments. The subject line, Commonwealth versus Maddox, et al., final judgment, sends a small tremor through my fingers. 5 months ago, I would have called Mom immediately, seeking her approval of my response, trying to soften the blow against Blythe. Today, I open it without hesitation. Defendants Robert Maddox, Eleanor Maddox, and Blythe Maddox, sentenced to 14 months probation, $6,000 in restitution, and 2-year no-contact order. I close the laptop. No tears, no anger, just the quiet satisfaction of justice served. The system worked exactly as designed. Later that evening, Marcus arrives with a bottle of sparkling cider and a knowing smile. Behind him, 4 colleagues from the cybersecurity firm file into my apartment carrying dishes of homemade food. To the woman who taught us all that security begins at home, Marcus says, raising his glass. The others follow suit, their faces warm with genuine affection. I lift my glass. To building families we choose, not just the ones we're born into. The words hang in the air, both a celebration and a eulogy. 6 weeks later, I stand before a group of elderly residents at Lakeside Senior Center, pointing to the projection screen behind me. The faces watching me belong to people who grew up trusting others implicitly, who never imagined their adult children might view their retirement accounts as personal ATMs. Digital security isn't about distrust, I explain, watching comprehension dawn across weathered faces. It's about ensuring your generosity is always your choice, never someone else's entitlement. My prototype app sits open on the tablet. I pass around a simple system for documenting patterns of financial pressure, recording conversations, and securing digital assets against unauthorized access. Something I wish I'd had years earlier. I'm calling it boundaries, I tell them, because sometimes love means saying no. Walking through the discount grocery store afterward, I spot her before she sees me, Blythe, examining canned soup prices with the careful attention of someone counting every penny. Her hair is pulled back in a hasty ponytail, dark roots showing against faded blonde. The designer purse is gone, replaced by a canvas tote. Our eyes meet briefly across the aisle. Recognition flashes across her face, followed by something that might be shame. I could walk over. Could ask how she's doing, if probation is treating her well, if she's learned anything from destroying our family. Instead, I turn and continue down the aisle, wondering if complete separation is truly healing or if some relationships deserve one final conversation for closure. Would you seek that final word? Or is silence sometimes the most powerful statement of all?